Well, I'm back, and I've had my first time on the floor of Parliament since November the 25th, when I was banned for wearing the burqa for 7 sitting days. Well, so much has happened over the period of time. We've seen the Bondi massacre, the hate speech laws, the gun laws that have been passed. We opposed that. It was not in the best interest of the Australian people. But a lot more is happening. This government wants to increase the number of senators. They want to increase it by another 16. They increase the Senate, they must increase the lower house numbers. That means an extra 32 members of Parliament in the lower house. We have no space in this building. So what they're doing, they're already doing the construction of adding more offices. And I'll tell you another thing, we oppose it. The Greens and the Nationals are agreeing to increase the number of senators. We don't need it, it's a numbers game. They don't do the work. So why should the taxpayer be actually looking at another, possibly up to $2 million per member of Parliament to come to this place? You won't get extra representation, I can tell you that now. It would be in our interest because we'll pick up seats. But it's not about us, it's about you, the people. I have opposed this years ago when it was brought to my attention by Don Farrell, who's pushing it now. And they're going to push it through Parliament at the next sitting in March. We will oppose it. I want you, the people, to oppose it as well. Well, I'm back. You can kick me out, you can dismiss me, or try to silence me, but you can't stop me because Australians know I have their back. Growing numbers of Australians now have mine. It's an injustice I wasn't able to debate legislation last month, but I am proud of my colleagues following my lead. They stood tall against Labor's attempt to scapegoat lawful gun owners for Anthony Albanese's failure to check anti-Semitism and radical Islam. I am proud of my colleagues defending free speech. When you try to silence me, you try to silence millions of Australians who are tired of your cosy two-party system because it doesn't deliver. You put yourselves and vested interests before the Australians you are supposed to serve. You are not part of the Australian we know and love, the same Australia you are trying to destroy with net zero and mass migration. The same Australians you won't help with the rising cost of living. More Australians are supporting me because they know you aren't putting their interests first. Unlike you, I don't take this support for granted. We're going to earn it and show Australians that One Nation can deliver for them. I'm not part of your cosy, self-serving system any more than everyday Australians are. I will never be, no matter what the media says. One Nation stands alone. One Nation will always be independent. My goal is to get rid of this toxic Albanese Labor government. We can't afford another term under Labor. I'll work with anyone who shares this goal, but I'll never join them. My question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer.
My question is to the Treasurer.
The capacity investment scheme is a key part of Labor's reckless energy plan that shifts the costs and risk of wind and solar onto taxpayers.
Can the Treasurer please inform the House of the cost to the Commonwealth budget on a 25-26 year?
Is it within the quantified contingent liabilities?
Well, I don't have the budget papers with me, but it would be in the contingent liabilities, and it would probably also feature in the statement of risks as well.
That because the capacity investment scheme involves a number of negotiations, then those numbers are not typically published.
I will come back on the exact figure.
Is it 50 billion, 60 billion? How much is it costing the taxpayers? Why are you keeping the secret from the taxpayers? Because they're footing the bill for this. The taxpayers have a right to know.
I will leave it at that, Senator Hanson.
One Nation leader Pauline Hanson, the woman of the moment in federal politics. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. We've seen it this week, really, with economic news that really should have the government under pressure. They're not under pressure properly, at least in Parliament, because of the shambles on the other side. Is that a fair observation?
Of course, it's a fair observation, yes, to bring accountability to it. And I've been unfortunate not to be on the floor of Parliament myself, but I think my members of Parliament are trying to do a good job in getting accountability.
Now, part of the problem for the coalition now, of course, is that you're out polling them. Do you still see yourselves largely as a party of protest, a party of grievance?
No, Chris, I think that's a load of rubbish, and they're very concerned because they're going down the polls. Why do you go down the polls? Because you're not opposition. To get good government, you have to have good opposition. Where are their policies? Where's Lab's policy on immigration? Where's the policy about net zero, to get rid of it? Escalating cost of living, all these issues that are concerning the Australian people. It goes on policies. So, there's nothing there written concrete that government has to be in the hands of Labor or the Liberal Party or opposition.
Where are your policies then? Where are your policies for government?
Why can't we? They're all up on the website, Chris. All up on the website. Go and have a look. Policies.
What's your detailed policy prescription for immigration? Of course you want it lowered, but which programs do you intend lowering?
Well, your visas. Even the foreign students coming in the country. Look at the number of visa holders that are coming in. They're applying for citizenship in Australia. Our citizenship will go out to 10 years before you can get citizenship. Cut your immigration back to 130,000. Look at the people bringing in the country. They're not skilled migrants at all. That's rubbish. We're bringing in people who say they're skilled migrants. Chris, they don't have the qualifications. We're actually drowning in these unskilled people. We're having these constructions being built here, not to Australian specifications.
So you would further cut the overseas student intake into this country. Labor's started to reduce it already. You would further cut the number of overseas students coming into this country, and you would cut back the skilled immigrants program.
The skilled immigrants, Chris, cripes. We've had 190,000 in permanent visas come in as if they're skilled. Guess what? Only 5,000 of them were actually skilled in the construction industry. And then you go back to this last year, 23, 24. Chris,
there'll be plenty of people involved in... Hang on one second, though. The issue here, though, is when you get into the specifics, if you're cutting back overseas students, that's going to be a huge financial setback for the university sector and some flow-on industries, of course, with accommodation and the rest of it. And also, many industries are saying they are crying out for skilled labour, and we can't afford to cut our skilled migration. So these will create issues. They're not simple policy positions.
Chris, if you look at the students coming into the country, which Labor is going to put at 295,000 students coming into the country, a lot of these students don't even attend the universities. As soon as they get here, quite a number of them actually come out and say, no, we're going to change our course. We're going to go to a vet course now. And then they take up working. So a lot of them are using it as a backdoor to get into the country.
No doubt.
So is that a benefit to us? No, it's not. So that needs to be reined in. We've got nearly 400,000 people that have come in here, overstayed their visas, now got bridging loans, and of course they're working, making the money, sending it out of the country. So our whole mass migration, go and ask the Australian people how they feel about it. Go and ask them if they can actually own their own home. Ask them if they get rental accommodation. Go and ask the people who are on the streets in this country. I've got more of an immigration policy than what the coalition have.
Well, maybe you have, and this is my point. If you're going to portray yourself as a party of government, you need more of that detail out there, because a lot of people agree that immigration is too high, but it's also, there's a lot of specifics that need to be addressed when you start to wind it back. I'm wondering, given how hard it will be for you to win lower house seats, I'm not saying you won't, but it'll be hard for you to win a large number of lower house seats. Would you be in a position now to suggest that when you talk about possible governance, that you would be interested in being involved in a coalition government with the Nationals and the Liberals?
Of course. That's the only way to move forward, because I'm not going to be government, and either is, by the looks of it, either is a coalition or the National Party. So the fact is that I am a Conservative at heart, and I would work with them to give them supply. Would I join up to the rabble that they are at the moment? No way in the wide world. But I have my strong policies that we need, because they're doing nothing to address the important issues that the Australian people want. And if you want to look at policies, when was the last time you went to my website to have a look at my policies, Chris, to criticise One Nation? And I'll tell you what, they've been picking up a lot of my policies. I see today that the National Party now saying they'll support, a cut to the beer and to the spirits tax. That was my policy. The superannuation scheme for housing is my policy. The excise tax cutting, my policy.
You've been clear on a lot of this stuff.
Immigration, my policy. Net zero, my policy.
It's no good,
my policy.
But it's no good getting defensive about me asking some questions about this policy detail. There's just going to be a lot more of this in the next 2 years. That comes with the territory of polling at 26%. That's fine.
I totally agree, Chris.
And it's good to
do not give me credit for credit's due for my raising these issues with you over the years, time and time again.
Pauline,
and when I hear that people get on here like Matt Canavan says I haven't got policies, he keeps picking up my policies, so I've got something to offer, haven't I? If I'm giving them my policies.
I haven't had Matt on my show for years, but he's a good man, but he hasn't said that here. It's very interesting that you're talking about this idea, Nationals, Liberals, One Nation coalition, because that's one way that this all could head. The problem here is the big picture issue here, and I'm interested in your thoughtful response to this, and that is, while the coalition vote or the right of centre vote is split, we've had Palmer in the past, yourself, Nationals, One Nation, a few other splinter groups. The big beneficiaries of that tend to be Labor, right? It makes it easier for them to win and hold government.
Chris, why do you think people are now turning to One Nation? Because they're fed up with the major political parties. Do you think I'm just going to walk away and not fight for my country and the people out there? Do you think I'm not going to do that to allow these elitists who think they know better than anyone else? It is the public will make their decision. Stop thinking that government can only be held by the coalition or by the Labor Party. Do your job properly. You'll get the votes back.
And they haven't been doing well.
If you can't present...
And that's why people have been going to you for some clarity. But I'm just wondering whether you accept the fact that Labor's really benefited from this. I know that's not your intention, and it's not the intention of those voters either. But that's the outcome, right?
It's not my fault. It is not my fault because Labor's benefiting out of this.
No.
It's the coalition's fault because they've failed to do their job.
I'm not trying to blame you. I'm asking about the
implications.
implications for the country.
And you're trying to blame me because I'm on the scene and offering people something change for this country, change they're screaming out for. I've just done a tour around the whole country, a different city in a different state every night. Guess what? People coming up to me, holding my hand, shaking, said, don't go anywhere, keep fighting for us. You're our only hope. They've lost hope in the major political parties.
I love catching up with you every week, Pauline, and I think it's fascinating stuff. I'm not blaming you. People can vote for whoever they like. In fact, I would blame the coalition for not providing a strong enough alternative. But I think it's fascinating to talk about the big implications here and where we're heading. Thanks for joining us. I'll catch up with you next week, Pauline.
Oh, they'll be in all sorts of trouble. I must say, more has been made of that partnership offer than really exists. She just said she'd guarantee the Liberals and Nationals supply, which means they could govern, and she wouldn't vote them out of office. But she said, I'll stay apart, they can't control me. So, but all that's pie in the sky at the moment. It's 2 years away. We shall see. James, I did hope that Parliament got a lesson, because at the end of last year, the Senate voted to ban Pauline Hanson from the Senate for 7 sitting days after she wore a burqa in Parliament to protest that not being allowed to present a bill to ban the burqa. Well, James, despite that attempt to punish her and muzzle her, like so many other attempts to do the same, one attempt to, in fact, jail her, again, backfire. Her vote just exploded, and today she returned to the Senate with a grateful bow or curtsy, thanking them. What does this tell you?
Well, she's certainly got her swagger on, doesn't she? The burqa's gone, but the swagger, she has well and truly got it on. She came out with a great line too, Andrew. She told the senators, you tried to silence me, and then she went for it, just like you're trying to silence millions of Australians. That's a great line, because immediately she said that, she pivoted to mass immigration and, of course, energy policy, and many Australians feel like we're not being listened to. And then she used another term, which I think will resonate with people. She talked about the uni party. In other words, there's no discernible difference between Labor and Liberals. You guys are all the same. You ignore me, just like you ignore average Australians. And I think those images and that sort of language will very much cut through. They will rue the day they kicked her out of the Senate because they just gave her a greater platform.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people it was like, I feel frozen out of the whole political atmosphere. And when what they're doing to her, they're doing to me, they're silencing me.
Yep.
But which brings me to a point that you touched on, Christy. John Howard, when he saw off that first One Nation challenge, he did it largely by cracking down on immigration, on the boats and all that, we will decide and all that kind of stuff. He did what we're told, what modern Liberals say we mustn't do, lurch to the right. He did it and valorised the Howard battlers, and he did it, it worked. So isn't that the way to go? Don't scream at her, don't scream at her supporters. How about offering better policies?
Well, that is the nub of the issue, isn't it, Andrew or James? The Liberal Party needs to offer better policies. And I know that many people don't agree with me, but 60-70% of Australians vote in the centre. Right now, they're voting centre-left. They don't realise they're voting progressive left. They think they're voting centre-left. But we need to bring them to vote centre-right, to switch people from Labor to Liberal, not from National to One Nation or from Liberal to One Nation. There isn't a large enough percentage of the vote to win a pathway to government without switching to the centre-right. And that means you have to land a viable, understandable, economically viable message on immigration and issues that Australians care about that will land with centre-right voters, because the Labor Party is